In New Hampshire, when two people own real estate that are not married, there has to be a process upon which when one of them wants to sell and one of them wants to keep the property, of how to deal with that, how to resolve that. We do have a statute in New Hampshire called the Partition Statute. It allows the person that wants to divide the property to go to the Superior Court or the Probate Court being the Circuit Court Probate Division of our courts, and asks the court to divide up the property. People may believe that if the property says it's an undivided half interest, each people having an undivided half interest in the property, that the court has to do a 50-50 split of the property. That's not the case. The Partition Statute gives the discretion of the court to consider a variety of factors, including the maintenance and repair of the property, the contributions financially to the property, the tax consequences to the property, when that one party has more ties to the property than the other, a variety of factors, as well as, of course, what the deeds say. If your name's not on the deed, it's a whole different issue, it's a different topic, but if your name is on the deed, you could be on joint tenants' rights of survivorship, you could be tenants in common, and it could say unequal half interest or equal half interest in the property, and in that situation, still the courts can divide it up substantially different. For way of example, if one of the two people in the relationship with the property put in $200,000 of their own money and added the other person to the property on this $200,000 piece of property, there's going to be an uneven distribution probably of that property to the person in favor of the person that made the most significant financial contribution. There might be other factors that are considered into it, like I said, the tax consequences, the upkeep of the property and the like, but all of that matters for the process of the court making an equitable distribution of that property, and it's not going to be just upon the actual deed of what it says. So the Partition Statute is used. I've used it before in a variety of situations. The court actually has the ability to, once they make a decision on the distribution, if it's saying 70% and 30%, to allow one of the parties to buy out the other. Because often it's a situation where one party actually still wants to keep the property. It could be the residence, it could be a vacation home, it could be a business property that hasn't been put into a legal entity. In any of those circumstances, there is a process upon which you can go to court and force the other one to dissolve the ownership relationship with the parties. I do want to add one extra part to this. Sometimes with couples, you have joint tenants with rights of survivorship in a property. So it means joint tenants' rights of survivorship means in New Hampshire that if one of you die, the other one gets the property outright. That works very well when you're in a committed relationship. And again, this is not marriage. Marriage, the divorce statute has a whole different set process upon which dividing up marital estates. But in an unmarried couple situation, you're in a committed relationship, the relationship fails, and all of a sudden you're out and you're in a joint tenants' rights survivorship with the other person, and you would hate to think that if you die before that other person, they get the property outright. New Hampshire Supreme Court's on several occasions have made it clear that one of those two people can unilaterally break that joint tenancy. So you could actually deed the property to somebody else, your half interest, and then have them deed the property back to you for breaking the joint tenancy. That means then that you are then tenants in common with the other person. And if you die, whatever your estate plan says for your half interest goes that way. That could be dealt with in addition to the Partition Statute if you want to actually get out of the property. Sometimes you also want the Partition Statute too, because you have a limited amount of credit. And if you're on the mortgage on the property, even if the property has a little bit of equity in the property, you want your name off that property. So if there's enough equity in the property, you can still have a partition action, force the other person who wants to keep the property to have to figure out some way to refinance it or sell the property, and therefore then you can go and buy your other home.